mama.
Starting in on time so we don't get crushed.
I just realized, A-Quil, I just realized you have a God is Dope shirt on. I've never seen you wear religious apparel ever in my life.
This is religious?
God is dope? Oh, yeah. God. God is religious, dog. That's right.
This is God.
God?
God's religious.
It's God. It's Allah. I mean, it's purple.
Real is God.
Oh, you talking about God? It's like, I'm talking about God. Not like your God, but like God. Yeah. The piece of the earth, the moon.
Yeah.
I'm bad. I'm just trying to pull us up.
Yo.
Yeah, me too.
I know we're all for anybody who's joined us, we're always trying to share links in the first minute. So see, and then we always get some little bleed.
My bad. Look at that, man. The followers. Hey, man, what's most important here is the followers are up.
Facts.
The feedback is up.
We've been popping the last couple of weeks. I mean, relatively speaking.
I mean, popping is with a lowercase p.
That's why I say relatively speaking. But yeah, we in here. We in the house. I mean, we on the porch, but we in the house. We ain't outside.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, this is the official live episode. I'm still trying to drop this link over here, so I'm just talking, at the same time. This is the live liner notes episode 5. And we are covering Lupe Fiasco's Food and Liquor, plus a whole bunch of our own fiascos. I'm your host, A-Quil, always joined once again by Survival. Bam.
Gang.
What's going on?
Alibi. Fix your name, Alibi. And Joe.
You look at the government out there again, man. Come on, man.
Yeah,
come on, man. You're off work, man. It's time to ask.
Come on, Cletus.
I think that's the default.
You're a biter, dog. Using your real name is a Joel thing, dog. You biting, dog.
It's on the IG page anyway. I'm not hiding from nobody, man.
Copyright infringement. I feel you, man. How y'all feeling? How was y'all week? How was your work week?
Trash.
It was okay. I had a tough start to the week. My uncle passed away. So,
oof,
a little tough. Shout out to the big homie, Uncle Joe. Doing better.
Nice.
Doing a lot better.
Hear it, man.
It's good to hear, man, and condolences to you and your family.
Absolutely.
This week was pretty straight. I never take time off during holiday season because work is always dead during holiday season. So I don't want to use the PTO. It carries over to next year. And then next year, save it all up, Japan.
Wait, don't you work at a tech company though?
Yeah, it carries over, bro. It carries over.
We got unlimited. I've never heard of a tech company having an actual policy.
Word to the wise, companies say unlimited PTO because if you look at the analytics, people with unlimited PTO, people take less time off.
Take less time. I never take time off.
They take less time off when you say that there's unlimited PTO because you're still gonna get the same shit and pushback you do as if it wasn't. So it's always. And my company's European, so they want me to go and have fun.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Okay.
I think most companies are European, unfortunately.
No, I mean they're in Europe right now. They're in Europe right now.
Alibi, how was your week?
A lot of Zoom meetings, man. I mean, I said it was trash. It really wasn't. The Zoom meetings were. It was in a 4-day span. I think I was probably in 21 hours of Zoom meets. That had very little to do with like dealing directly with my students. So that's never fun. But we had a big meeting and had some good stuff coming down. So we're working out here. But I'm ready for this break.
Yeah, definitely a nice little break coming up for everybody, and we might have a break here on the live. That's why I just rocked the Santa hat today, because just in case we ain't here for Christmas, man, I'm just trying to get a little Christmas and Kwanzaa cheer on. You know what I mean? Hey. What else we got? Salute Hanukkah.
Hanukkah, whatever you got out there.
Or Chinooka, if you're Smokey Robinson.
Yeah,
Chinooka. Word. Drinking that wine.
Gang banging.
What else? Did anybody watch Seinfeld? What isn't there like something they do?
Festivus.
There you go. So shout out Festivus.
Wait, did we shout out Kwanzaa?
Yeah, we did.
I said Kwanzaa, but do it again. There's 7 days. Kwanzaa.
I've done Kwanzaa twice. And then we were kids. My mom made us do Kwanzaa twice in Boston. And the second time I was like, okay, I was like, I get it. I was like, I get it, but let's come on.
I love Kwanzaa.
We do it.
I'm forcing Kwanzaa on my kids. I don't care.
We do it. It's generally what it looks like is good conversation with the kids about the principles each day. Yeah. We rarely get to like the gift giving, and the Kanara is long gone, but we definitely. Yeah.
Is it like winter Juneteenth?
I think it's super holistic. I mean, you know what I mean? In terms of it being blackity black, like, yeah, you know what I mean? But
black on black on black.
In itself, like, I like talking about the principles make for some good conversation.
Yeah, Kwanzaa's dope, man. I like the principles of it. Well, yeah. So any of those that y'all celebrate, salute, shout out, all that good stuff. But yeah, let's get into the
celebrate life.
24/7, 365, and some years 366. You know what I mean? Every 4 years. If you're in the chats, check in. What's good? Who we got in the chats? I see my mother-in-law in there. Salute to you. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah.
Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
We got people in the chat. Shout out to everybody who followed us this week.
Yeah.
Commented, shared. We're
disliked.
We see.
We love you too.
Whatever.
We had a one or two dislikes, but we for every one or two.
As long as you're engaging,
I
like that.
Exactly. Absolutely. So speaking of feedback, got a little bit of feedback from our previous episode. I want to just recap real quick. So for everybody who joined us last week, we had the Outcast episode, and one of the questions, or a few questions, we did with a little quiz, a brand new game called Who's the Outcast. So only did a few of the questions on air, but we set up a poll online. So if you guys don't mind, I just want to give you guys the result of that poll. Y'all cool with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it.
Let's take a look, just real quick, real brief. We'll run through this real quick. So we'll go through all the questions. Like I said, half of these were on the show, half were not. But the first one was, who was not an artist out of the Liner Notes crew? You guys guessed that really quick on the show, which was Joe. In the polls, 75% also said Joe was not the artist, so you guys did well with that. Nice. The next question was, who attended Morehouse College at least 1 year? And that was a correct answer with Survival. And we got 57% of our poll got that correct. So shout out to y'all. You're still rocking.
Who are the others?
How did they know that?
I got 28%. So shout out me. Joel and Al, y'all got 7% apiece.
So y'all the smart Morehouse guys.
You got to grow your hair back, brother. I think that's what it is. We both got dreads.
So. Yeah. I respect it.
You know what I mean? Next up, we had who got into a political debate with a stripper at Club Cheetah. That was me. So that was the correct answer. I only got 46% of the vote. So which is funny is I was tied for first place. Who do you think the other person was?
That's a great question. I was going to ask that. In theory, it should be Joel, but I'm curious to see where this went.
Okay. Joel, who would you guess?
I don't even know. I've
definitely been in a little bit of a political debate.
I wouldn't even know.
Yeah, well, the answer was Joe. The other 46%. So
nice.
Alibi, you got one vote at 8%. Survival, you got none. So you're off clean, bro.
Oh, okay. Hey.
I think that one vote was my wife. She's convinced that's what I would do in the strip club, which is absolutely not what I would do in the strip club.
It was a funny story. I'll tell it for another day.
I really do like intense debates during lovemaking. Like, I like to talk about the flat text and really get in there. You know what I mean? Just really get into that
just topic. Really set the mood.
All that good stuff.
Really.
Stock market, who's up, who's down.
We talk about it. To all get in this. We bring out the stimulus and we just get in there, man. Talk about that stimulus, pop out the tax codes, and just get nasty.
Yeah.
I never want to hear my friends talk about sex.
So let's move on then. The next one was
why not?
We all do it.
We do.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about it though.
I give my friends give me the best advice when it comes to stuff like that. Like, I literally listen to it like I'm in college. Like, oh, so you lift that leg over the head? Okay, all right.
Taking notes.
But when you did that, what was the reaction?
Still it moves.
That was like.
All
right, great, thank you. Good.
You can't be faking Jackson till it moves. Next question was who met John Lewis while visiting Atlanta? The correct answer was Alibi, and he received 69% of the votes. So, congrats.
69.
69.
Yeah, it's all coming.
I mean,
back.
it was like 69. You really round up to 70, but it was, whatever it is.
I don't mind the 6'9". It's all good.
It's not bad.
Not the snitching guy.
No, he's very
no, not that one. He's bad.
Next up is Who Won't Stop Talking About Andre 3000. The correct answer was Survival, and he received 50% of the votes. So people were on top of that. Our next one was whose favorite Outkast album was Aquemini. Correct answer was Joel, and he received 38% of the vote. Survival, you got 30%, so it was almost a toss-up, man. So
that's good.
My favorite was obviously Speakerbox and The Love Below.
Obviously?
No. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Our next question was who named the girl drawn on the Outkast CD's Peaches? And with overwhelming 90% of the votes, you guys got it correct. Alibi.
It's not even true.
Yeah. You said it on the episode. We're just going.
I didn't say I called her that.
You definitely said you think her name is Peaches, dude.
I gotta listen back to this.
You're having a Rick James moment. I didn't know about Eddie Murphy's couch right now.
I didn't.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
And the last question was who went to Freaknik? The correct answer was moi, and I had an overwhelming 75% of the votes. But shout out to Survival with a vote, and Alibi, you had a couple votes, man. You're in second place, 16%.
Shout out to Freak.
You look like a Freaknik guy.
He does, man.
That's wild.
Yeah. So with that said, thank y'all for participating.
Hey,
in our
shout out to Freaknik.
Of course, bring it back. Bring it back.
We do. We need to bring it back.
Yeah, man. So we'll do some more polls. We might do some polls later in regards to, like, say, what albums you want to hear us review later or whatever else. We think it's something fun. We'll throw them up. But we just appreciate the engagement. So shout out to y'all. Salute. With that said, man, let's get into this album, man. Food and Liquor podcast episode. Been getting some great feedback so far. Had a little, I won't say bad feedback, but it was interesting because it's actually going to lead into my first question. If you listen to this episode already, side note, you guys know we don't reveal scores, or we try not to, so you gotta listen to the episode to figure out what we gave it. But one thing we did on this episode is we switched host. Survival was our main host for this episode.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So,
hence the bad feedback, huh?
Yeah,
well, it's coming. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it was the question was, it was interesting that so from a listener who's heard all the episodes so far, they felt it was a little jarring to hear another person be the host instead of Joe, or maybe it was,
I mean, it's his brainchild, but we just had to.
It's not that. It's not that, but yeah, it's just a switch. We're early on with the experiment, but I want to ask you, just in general, how did you feel about hosting, and was your preparation different from hosting versus just how we usually come in?
No, I thought it was fine. Like we use the same note structure, we use the same outline, all that stuff. I just try to insert my little comic relief in there, or whatever I can do. So we basically follow a formula. We have good good rapport with one another. So it wasn't like, for me, it was just I'm talking more than I normally would. So that was the only odd part for me. Like, I just didn't want to feel like I was taking too much time during the pod. So
I gotcha. And flip side, Joe, you were able to kick back for a second. So was that different for you? Did you feel relieved? Did you feel it didn't really matter? Like, how did you feel about not hosting that first episode?
I think it's chill, man. I host another podcast outside of this. So when you're the host, being a host, you can't just, there's so much more setup and structure involved. Like, it's not like complicated, but you have to be cognizant of the fact that there's other people there. You do find yourself like pushing conversation sometimes, or leaving it. When you're not the host, you can kind of just relax on, okay, let me just make sure let me worry about my points. Mm-hmm. And not to overcomplicate it. I remember a long time ago, I watched Norm Macdonald talk about David Letterman, and he said Letterman's the best Tonight Show host, and I didn't get it. And he said it was because Letterman understands the that he's not the joke. Like, it's not about him.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I don't get that. But then I've watched it. I realized, oh, it's because Letterman literally just asked a bunch of these setup questions and like the right kind of setup questions, and he just like quiet. So everyone on his show would be able to wild out, be funny as hell, do everything. He's never trying to insert himself. So then I'm like, oh, I heard that. Whenever I try to do something when I'm talking, interviewing, hanging out with friends, I just try to do my best when it's my turn to not talk to help push the conversation and then sit back. So not as the host, it was cool. I got to be the person who's pushing. But no, it's cool to see other people do it.
Okay. And I don't think it's going to be the last time we do that. Hint, hint, wink, wink. I won't give any more away. So we'll see how it goes. We're in our first, we're in our baby steps here. So we're going to try some different stuff, see how it goes. Some stuff is going to rock, some stuff might not. Whatever, we don't care. It's our show. We'll do whatever we want to do.
Could do a poll battle.
We're talking about just online, right? Not that, because we were having those other conversations earlier. I just wanted to...
No. Online. Not P-O-L-L, not P-O-L-E.
We just double check it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Survival versus Joel. I like it.
Oh, like who's the better host?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're fucking done, bro.
Yeah, it's like celebrity deathmatch. Like I'm coming at you with the Gumby figure, and
yeah. I like Joel as host. I like Survival too. He did a good job.
Yeah,
I tried.
Yeah, it's good.
We'll see how it goes.
Shout out before we I want to give a shout out to Cool Keem for joining us. The homie Cool Keem here in
Cool Keem, what up?
Doing this thing. Up? Thanks for checking in. Go ahead, though.
No, I was gonna say segueing to you because you had some other new folks that joined us from a couple other places. You want to talk about that at all, or?
Oh yeah. So I got feedback from a couple people that I know, some who I talk to regularly, like daily, who have listened to everything and watched everything, and really love it. And some feedback from people that I don't frequently touch base with, who listen to the show and love it, and said that they're looking forward to future reviews and made some suggestions as well. So it's good. I like when that happens. It's one thing to tell your friends to support you, which Joel does not, as we learned last week. But it's another thing, when in certain circles you're not saying much, and they catch on and rock with it. So I like it.
That's what's up. So with that said, with the episode, I would say that Survival probably would say yes. But do you guys feel we were too harsh on this album? Now, again, for people who haven't listened yet, this is not a giveaway to what we graded it, because we're harsh on every album. But we had some harsh critiques on this one, So I'll start with Joe. Do you think we were too harsh, or was this accurate?
Not at all. We're not too harsh. We're not harsh enough, honestly. Like on anything. I feel like the fact that we're older,
I would agree with that.
We shy away from saying really polarizing things, because we realize what words can actually do, no matter who you are. So I don't know. I don't think we're really that scathing, and I don't think we do praise specific things enough, but we do it within an objective means. So we really don't hit the rails on any either side of the pole. So no, I don't think we never said at any point this album sucks. Never. Like we're never like, oh, I don't like it, don't listen. No, it's just an gated opinion. So no, I don't think so at all.
No one's trying to be Skip Bayless here, but if you don't fuck with something, then you don't fuck with it. And there's an educated opinion backing it up. So Alibi would say you.
Yeah, I hate my score. In retrospect, it's way too high. Yeah. I think overall I scored it a 23, and I don't like this album that much. It just the songs that are really good on this album have never gotten old to me. I think there's 7, 8, 9 songs that are phenomenal and have never, I listen to them and they're still fresh and still relevant. And so, but the songs that I don't like, I never listened to. Like until we reviewed this, like I hadn't listened to them in years, So I don't know. I mean, my personal score I don't like, and it's not classic. So ultimately, my bad for blowing that. But
your score,
my score is not classic. You're right. And my score
It's not
was,
though. So spoilers.
that's the thing. So my score.
I'm just trying to do
was-
my job as Mr. Clean once again, and you
Hey,
guys
man.
just come throwing dirt everywhere. So
But-
it is. I'm used to it. It's okay now. I understand.
Either way, my score was classic, and I don't believe it's a classic album, and that drove me nuts, like in retrospect.
I feel you. I feel you. I know one thing we did talk about too was just the way that the leak had affected this album, and so even during that episode, I had not listened to the other songs that were on the leak. This would have been a different album. I know we talked about that on the episode, but Survival, you want to speak to that a little more? Like, just if you were able to take off a couple songs that are on the album to put a few songs on from the leaked version, like what would you swap out to really make this?
Yeah.
phenomenal album?
So I believe that at the 5-year anniversary, I want to say, they released so in 2011 they released like a deluxe version, essentially, that had a bunch of bonus tracks on it, and the bonus tracks were comprised of all of the stuff that was originally on the album, for the most part. So, and I think we discussed this on the pod. So things like "I Gotcha" were not they were not originally on there. Theme music to a drive-by was the original song that was right after the intro. So it just had a slightly different vibe to it. Real was still on there, so on and so forth. It was just an unfortunate sequence of events, and I'm not really sure that it would have changed much in terms of his trajectory. You know what I mean? Like, he's still going to be the same genius level, lyrical personnel that we're used to in terms of hip hop figure, but maybe some of those tracks would have resonated with people who were familiar with Lupe early on, like a little bit more. But I think all in all, it doesn't really change the fact that, and we touched on this as well, like his trajectory is what it is. He doesn't want to be Drake. He doesn't want to be, Mr. Popstar, and I don't think that affected that at all with the league.
So maybe not like that trajectory, but do you think it affected his standing in the music industry, or maybe his relationship? Because again, me listening to theme music to a drive-by, Ghetto Story, Spaz Out. Again, this is the first time I'm hearing this, and these are completely different sounds. And if he was able to get this album off, I feel like he would have had, better relationships with his label and things because look at everything that happened later on with his albums. Mm-hmm. Do you think maybe that would have changed? Like we're talking about the impact of
maybe
like him,
Yeah, I think anyone who knows about his story knows that he had issues with Atlantic, and generally the artist, I mean, I've never heard of an artist that leaked the shit themselves. Like, why would you do that? So he's looking at it like, these are your people, these are your engineers, these are the people that you provided me with. This got out into the public. What do you want me to do? I'm the artist. So and I think that probably eroded some of that trust in albums 3 and 4, somewhere around there.
Because album 3, that's the Losers/Lasers album, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was number 4 after that? Was that Food Maker 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty sure that was the last one on Atlantic, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I think there's a few different, like, I think his impact is different, and I think this album gets viewed as a classic, and I think he starts to get a different level of respect within hip-hop. Does he go on to be a star? I doubt it, given, like, just the climate of the music at the time and who he is. But I don't know. Like, I think this album becomes a classic because a lot of the songs that we really don't like were the songs that were added, and you swap the songs that we now know with the songs that were on what was released. We're having a different conversation. Another angle, and we don't need to talk about this here though, too, is like, what does that do in terms of like Atlantic? Like, if you think about the artists that like are on Atlantic right now, they're
Cardi.
pushing the culture. Yeah, Cardi, Migos, like QCP is pushing in a totally different direction than Lupe would. And so that's a whole other conversation. But also we see why he didn't quite get the support that he probably was looking for at Atlantic. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
And then another question I had too, we were talking about like his tree and his influence a little bit, and as well as during that time, this came out 2006, so he was kind of like in Oasis, in a desert. There were other artists out around that time. I'll say we killed the South for the most part.
Not Joe. He's snapping.
Leaning and rocking.
Joe was definitely snapping and leaning and rocking for sure.
I mean, I was snapping too. Let's not do that.
Everyone was.
Everyone was
Sketchy.
snapping.
It's sketchy. It's sketchy.
If you like women, you were snapping in 2006 through 9. You weren't going to the club with an instruction manual on.
Yeah.
Come on.
You went where
you were in
they
the club.
were and you were snapping.
Snapping. Right to the ass, dog.
So then the other alternatives, and I was going to ask Alibi if you think it had any impact on them. We didn't get to that tree of like artists now, but what about other artists out around that time? Are things different for a, say, Sha Stimuli, Sky Zoo, or a King Los? I think he was out by then. Are things different for them if Lupe's album comes out the way it, should have came out, or it has no impact?
No, I think maybe. Like, I can't speak to those artists like specifically individually because I don't know their label situations and whatnot. But I think some of those names like maybe break through and ring true a little bit more. And I guess the example that I would use is like Kanye, right? Like Kanye, he became like a massive star, and it wasn't like overnight, but he cracked the door for a lot of artists. And Lupe getting the respect that he probably deserved within the culture, like larger, because I think the culture kind of like knows who he is and they respect him. But when you got that classic album that's like, yo, that shit's hard, it's a different level of respect than I think Lupe would get. I think he has the respect as a lyricist, but I think it looks a little different. And I think that happening, labels might say, oh, okay, like there's still some support out here for this quote unquote like real hip hop. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And so in that respect, maybe those artists do get to get releases, because not all of those artists you named even got releases. So
what do you think? Is true. You think they did my man dirty on purpose, like right on the heels of Touch the Sky?
It definitely feels like sabotage to some degree. I could be wrong, but it's just crazy because I feel like he was getting that pack put on him, like being in the Kanye video. That was a real good look, and again, that's a lot of people's first introduction to Lupe. So to go from that, I feel like you should have a pack on you, and you should be able to take off. And regardless if you're, lyrical miracle or whatever, with better production behind you, I think he could have really been a star. And you can see they were still trying. But look at Superstar and what else came out after that. Like his big singles were still big singles, and people still know him for those singles. Now, do they, know like him as a real in-depth quality artist? Like that's debatable. So I feel like they were still trying, and maybe that was the makeup for fucking up the album. Because so if the album wasn't messed up, are they pushing these singles as hard, or they still expect them to be something else when they kind of strap the pack to him after Kanye, So I think that's my thoughts on it, and I think it would be incredibly interesting that if he would have got the album that he wanted, how that would have played out for his career overall.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say about that is, and we kind of touched upon it on the pod, is like as an artist, there's only so much that you can control. If you don't if you're not Jay-Z at Def Jam, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing I can control is my pen, my lyrics, I may have some input on some of the things that I want as far as production,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of it is out of my control. So you know, some of the categories that we rate, like impact per se, that's not really within his control to a degree, because a lot of it is like marketing, packaging, how the label's pushing him,
Mm-hmm.
what the actual leak did, and you know how that detracted from everything. So it's really interesting, and that's why we dive in and take a look at these albums and projects.
Fair enough. Okay.
I feel like we're making excuses.
You think?
I think things could have been slightly better for Lupe if this album's a classic, but no one was not like the way music was going. You couldn't have stopped it. Like
Well,
Kendrick is
21.
out now. What?
You got a 21.
No, I'm just saying, like in terms of the changing the fate of
Oh, okay.
what
Yeah,
music has
yeah.
done. Donna Lover's out now. Kendrick's out now. There are people out now. But Lil Baby's a thing. City Girls are a thing. Dub Baby's a thing. Megan Thee Stallion's a thing. I just feel like you can't. We're always looking for the champion who's going to right the ship, but you can't fight what's coming. You can't. There was no positive rapper on earth who's going to stop Diddy in them shiny suits. You couldn't. Nigga was amazing floating through the air. Like there was no way I was not going to buy that dude's stuff. Like it was.
That was Farnsworth.
I got yeah. He was flying with no strings. Diddy had strings. Sponsor had no strings. And I feel like with Lupe, I do feel
He
like
had
this album could have
suspenders.
been
And an umbrella.
Lupe could have been a straight up classic, but I don't think that changes much for the direction of hip hop, especially with the subject matter that he's talking about. And I hate to say this, Lupe is just too smart for his own good. Like when you force me to listen to a song twice or three times, that's a lot of thinking. I'm only kind of smart.
Want to do that, yeah.
I'm kind of smart. Like it's a lot, and I feel like the artists that do that, when they do create classic albums or a bunch of classic albums one after another, after a while, yeah, you do see like, okay, no matter what, this person's always going to be here. Period. Like you know what I mean. But I just feel like in terms of the bigger picture, it's hard for me to think that he's really going to change much. There's a big difference from Scarface and Mike Jones, but I was there. I remember the fix. I also remember that Mike Jones was on TV for a good amount of time, Doug. Like a long time. And I remember
out there.
And I remember you remember what stuck in the casual listener. So I think it's not an indictment on Lupe himself. I feel like
no, not at all.
The album would have been a classic if he was able to do exactly what he wanted to do, and the production sounded exactly what he wanted to. I do believe that. I think
the impact would have still been the same, you think?
Yes, because I do feel, unfortunately, at that time, that is when ringtones were popping. That is when hip hop, because we're all black, we always thought of hip hop as the preferred music choice. But that is where you started switching to hip hop being the preferred music choice for everyone. So I'm going to bars that would play AC/DC at night, that are playing the Franchise Boys at night, or you know what I mean, like
right.
Bow Wow or Nelly or whoever, and you just all saw it changing. So you're like, wow, like you know. So in terms of that, I do think his career would have changed, like the trajectory of his albums, the theme behind his albums, the reception. But I still think for those other guys, it's really hard to have too many good brothers out at once. Like it sucks.
Was Black Eyed Peas with Fergie out at that time, or was they still Fergie?
Yeah, 2006.
Yeah.
Or shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
Let me Google Monkey Business now. Monkey Business.
Yeah,
please don't.
So I want to make one more quick point too, and it's simply that Lupe is not a superstar, and that's the difference between all those artists that you just listed, Joe. Like, and he was never going to be that, right? So they put
where is he? Like, there's A-listers, right? There's B-listers. Like we kind of know who those are. Where do you put him in terms of like the alphabet list?
I mean, he's probably in the B or C when it comes to popularity. In terms of like his skill. I mean,
he's highly respected.
Plus, you know, so that's what I wanted to say is just simply that like he did have all of that notoriety, right? At that time in 2006, 2007. He was on MTV. He was out there. Like
Rolling Stone.
They pushed him like a superstar. The thing is, he's not. You listed Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi, like Kendrick. These are all people who have like kind of that quality. Lupe don't want that, man. He does not want he don't care. Like,
Stay
and
in
not,
the house.
yeah, not in the eccentric way, right? Like he knows too much. He's too smart to be a superstar. You know what I mean? And that's not saying that superstars are dumb. Like, it's just that dude's way too intelligent. He's never gonna go along just to get along, and you know, so you can push him all you want. You know, I think, but I do think. Go ahead, Joe. I think
that's my point. He's too smart for his own good. Like, you have to, like, I remember seeing him perform at the VMAs once, and I'm like, I'm glad you're here because I want to see you.
Yeah.
But this is weird that you're here.
Yeah.
And I think that and we talked, A-Quil and I talked about this at length.
Yeah.
With being an artist. I'm not an artist, but I like to come up with entrepreneurial ventures. At what point is it not about you anymore? And I think that's what anyone who has integrity struggles with. So for Lupe, it's like, yo, you shouldn't have to go along to get along. It's such bullshit. But at what point do you have to give up a little bit to get to where you want? Because I feel like he wants just more respect, not like sales or nothing like that. But just recognition that, like, yo, you know I'm dope. Let's keep it real. You know I'm dope.
It's tough though, because a lot of those are intertwined. And like, I feel like that often as an artist myself. And it's just like, it's a tough thing to delineate. Like, more listeners beget more respect because you have a wider, like, you're casting a wider net for people that are going to listen to you. And if you get more people listening to you, then the better chance is that someone will think that you're good, and, you know, so on and so forth. So it's like this weird catch-22 that he can't really escape from.
Well, it's who he is, right? Like, to me, as an MC, like, hip hop's just who he is. It's in his DNA. Like, the real values of, like, I'm not changing who I am. Like, I'm staying true to who I am. And that's Lupe. Like Poop just said in the chat, like, he doesn't play by their rules, and he doesn't, you know, because he don't care about the rules. The only rules he care about is what's right, what's wrong, right? Like, this album is about that, good and evil.
And samurai rules.
I mean, let's be honest. For sure.
You
know, but he doesn't care about any of those things. You know what I mean? And so it's going to be hard to make a superstar out of that kind of person. He's not the type of different that's just like eccentric different. You know what I mean? Like, he ain't a Wyclef. He's not. A little bit. Like, I don't think he does it for doing its sake, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, exactly, a lot of these eccentric folks just do shit just because it's different, you know.
He's just being him.
Because that's the way.
He's that dude's been different. You know.
I do feel like after a while, though, he started pushing the fact that he was different to be like
as a selling point.
Yeah. Like the whole Donald Glover and him got into about, I don't like Negroes, I only talk to niggas. Like, he it was like at it with like the Young Bucks after a while, and they're like, wait, what's happening right now?
Yeah.
I think he's super sarcastic, and he's kind of a bit of a troll though too, man. I think he just be throwing that shit out there. Like,
I also think he's an asshole. Like, I think
all of those can be true,
but he's like, it's because he's like pretentious about
exactly. Yeah.
I think that was the whole. Yeah, that's a little bit why he, you know, Chief Keef wanted to slap him up and all that.
Shit.
It's like,
I forgot about that.
That was also messed up though.
I'm taking Lupe, by the way. He's at a sword. I'm sorry.
Lupe said he's scared of the idea Chief Keef was kind of messed up. I'm like, you've known dudes like this your whole life, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of messed up. Like, I'm not the crazy Chief Keef stan, but give the dude a chance, dog. You know 8 of these dudes. You from Chicago.
Exactly.
Bro.
They're around you the whole, and that was the point that Alibi was making, that with, like, especially when you are someone coming from that type of city and you have that type of intellect and you have that type of talent, like, people are going to be around to protect you. Like, you don't do this stuff alone. And not everyone is going to be as polished and let's say law-abiding as you, right? Like, there's going to be some goons out there, and there's going to be people out there who are going to protect you in some kind of unsavory ways. And yeah, I thought that was I didn't really like that, you know, that whole sequence with Chief Keef.
Right.
It's kind of whack.
No, it's not cool. You know, Lupe, he's physically disconnected now, right? Like
Mm.
before, he was just a smart dude in a real fucked up environment. You know what I mean? And so you do what you got to do to survive. But he accomplished what everybody in those situations is trying to do, which is better themselves and get out. And now there's a bit of a disconnect. But I also think that there might be a bit of like righteous like anger. You know what I mean? And it's legit. You know what I mean? I get it. Like, nah, I don't fuck with this kind of music because like this type of music self-destructive, and I'm not about that. You know what I mean? He ain't about supporting self-destruction. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's not anything that this album's about or what and who he represents, you know. But he used to have that voice that more spoke like from that. You know what I mean? Like to me as a writer, it's the difference between a we, right? Like when I write, like when I first started writing, it took a long time for me to use a lot of I statements. You know, I'd always say we, and that's because that's how I think. I think of myself
collective,
as
community.
But it's also like I think of myself as a part of whatever it is that I'm criticizing because I probably deal with that myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the difference between, and the reason why also is because I want to connect with the audience, and I don't think you connect with the audience when you're condemning the audience.
Right.
I hate when folks are like, you need to do this. You need to, we need to. That sounds different, right? That sounds like you support me and you get it. But when I say you need to, it's like, hold on, man. Like, who's you talking to? Like, who is
like
you?
You're putting yourself on a pedestal, like it's a certain level of like judgment. And that's why people have that issue. It's like you don't see yourself connected in this struggle.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that's what Lupe is on now, but I think that it's probably more, you know, in that respect. You're just disconnected, man. It's been 10, 15 years since you've been out of the struggle, and it's what made you, and you're connected, but you ain't connected in the same way. And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that, you know, as long as you're not using it to down others, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Okay. Shout out Lupe. Little mix of street and you know, samurai, savviness, and superstar. It's a mix of all that stuff. Shout out to you, Lupe. We appreciate you. With that said, was there anything else we want to talk about in regards to this album, or anything we might have missed on the podcast that we want to get off on this episode, or how we feeling?
I just feel like this album's just somewhat. I like the fact that we went there when we did it because it wasn't a typical response. But yeah, man. Yeah, I'm probably never gonna listen to it again. I like the singles I will. But and the reason why I'm saying that is because when we talk about albums, there's so much more to it than the artist. And we knew that, but like the more and more we listen to this, we're like, yeah, it's hard. This is hard as shit, bro. Like it's one thing, like, and the reason I keep like, I grew up, I'm 37. So Cannabis was the guy we all were like raw talent. So easily that equals success. That was the marker for me. I don't know for you all. So when I'm like late 90s, listening to these artists that have already had cosigns, like you didn't hear, there was no YouTube. You hear about people that are in videos or on singles or featured. Cannabis was a guy when like we were first starting to get these unreleased cuts, all that stuff's new. So just hearing the fact that someone can rap really well, you're immediately like,
I thought he was going to be bigger than DMX.
Exactly.
I remember that. Do you remember that Cannabis versus DMX?
Yep,
mixtape
exactly.
And,
I remember that whole run, his whole 97, 98 like feature run. Like,
he did nothing but mixtapes out, and you're like, well, clearly this means that he's going to release an album that's going to be one of the greatest albums of all time. He's going to have one of the best careers of all time. And then it just didn't work out that way. I would see him featured on his own songs.
You get featured on your own song.
No. I was gonna say he was featured on other songs, but
I appear courtesy of myself.
Jogging my memory when I was trying to finish that sentence is A-Quil was telling me a story about pregnancy. Cannabis was talking about, and it sounded like he was battling. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
The joint where he was like, "I want to hug you, but my arms ain't even grown yet."
Yeah.
And it was
It's like boy meets girl, mom. I was like, fan.
And that is the day I learned that there's so many other layers to an album. So the reason I had that long-winded ass story was the fact that when I listen to a guy like Lupe Fiasco, no one's ever going to say his lyrics aren't amazing. But being a true artist, hearing sounds, laying your tracks to sounds, knowing what tracks, what order they're going to be in, what if stuff gets leaked? Do you have backup tracks? Do you just roll your tracks out? Like the whole complete concept of the album, it's fucking hard, man. So when I think of this album, it just reminds me of that. That's it. Like, there's so much to this.
Here's what's weird about Lupe too, though. And this is not related to your question about is there anything we missed talking about the album, but
all good.
Lupe can do all of those things, man. That's what's crazy to me. He can make every single one of those records that you're talking about. The thing is, he's not going to dumb it down. Like whatever concept he's but that's his whole point. Like I can flip all these styles, I can give you all these sounds. What I'm not gonna do is minimize my penmanship. You know what I mean?
But there's people who've made classic albums who have not done that. And I think the reason is because it's an artist. There's one artist who can do lyrically everything you want him to do. But I am now realizing there's artists who know songs. And I don't mean creating hooks or anything. Yeah. Artists who can say, I'm going to talk about love. But I'm going to talk about love in a way that fits into 3 minutes. I'm going to talk about love. I want to hear this beat, this key sounds like what I want. And I feel like there are artists who are amazing lyricists who some have help, like a Big and a Puff, but there are artists like other people we've reviewed, like Jay-Z or 3000 or a Big Boy who are like, let's hear this song. Let me hear what my lyrics sound like on this, and then let's go from there. That's what I mean. I'm not saying that Lupe can't do
I know what you mean. Yeah, and the thing is, he can do that too. That's my
Why didn't he do it?
because of his integrity. And that's the thing. It's not I'm against that. It's simply, dog, what he's in it for is the art. Mm-hmm. Like he's like, what I'm battling as an artist is me being the illest I can be. He'll write that song to see if he can do it. And once he's done it, all right, I'm not doing that again because I know I could do that. Yeah. But he's like, what I'm going to do is continue to push myself as an artist. And as a writer, as an MC, I got all the respect in the world for him for that because he's never been stagnant, man. You've never heard a Lupe album where he's just, lasers, all of that stuff. Like he's not pushing himself. You know what I mean? And he's continued to evolve. That's the difference between a Black Thought and a Lupe and a Jay in some respects when it comes to writing. Jay also could have been that type of writer. He, though, wants to make music that hits everyone, right? Lupe's writing for himself. He's like, I don't give a fuck about, like, how many people I touch. I'm about to rhyme my ass off. Every single song. You know what I mean? Yeah. And continue to push. It's the difference between it's my last is the difference between but like James Baldwin and Iceberg Slim, right? Like one's a really, really gifted storyteller. The other is like a fucking brilliant once in a lifetime writer. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of us that can tell great stories, man. It's a lot of great storytellers. It's only a few people that can write on a certain level.
So Lupe Fiasco is Russell Westbrook, dog. I get.
He kind of looks like him.
I get it, but my thing is, then why are we going through this? Why are we signing with labels? Why are we doing all this? Why are you signing deals that you like the point of that process is the end result that all these other artists are doing. So all I'm saying is the same machine, the same entity that put out Lupe Food and Liquor put out Dead Presidents. Foreshadowing, my niggas. But the same machine that put out Lupe Fiasco put out Black Star. The same machine that put out Lupe put out Doggy Style, put out Life After Death, put out a ton of albums, DMX, whatever may have you. That same machine. If you're going to deal with that same machine, at some point you have to realize you're dancing with the devil, is all I'm saying. It's like,
I think he did.
It's like
he did.
I think we touched on it though. Like he came out in he was a little bit too early for the internet era, where I think he really would have proliferated. SoundCloud, all that shit. Don't need a label. Like that's probably what
Yeah,
he
look at
needed.
a Russ.
Or he was like, 6 years too, maybe 5, 6 years too
Mhm.
late, where he could have been in that little, lyricist pocket that we all kind of came up, us four on the show, came up through and love. Like, we love that era, we love that period, we love all the artists that, express themselves in that way. So
Mm.
it's just it's weird, man. Is like, I look at this album and it's bittersweet because I love this album, but I'm like, it came out at a weird time. He came out at a weird time, and the sound was just not conducive, especially to the time. It was so like ahead of its time in a lot of ways,
Mhm.
and then it got held back in a lot of ways, just because it wasn't like forward thinking enough. It wasn't avant garde enough.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an odd thing too. I think you brought this up, Survival, and the homie Ty has too. This was also like the mixtape era, And in my opinion,
Yeah.
some of Lupe's best music was on mixtapes,
Mixtapes.
man. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
and so that's the other thing. You got this, to Joel's point about, well, if you're gonna do it this way, like, the mixtapes at this time was really the artists doing those things. Like,
Yeah.
these were the songs that they
those
really,
mixtapes,
those were the songs and the things that he really wanted to do.
Mhm.
And label might put out a Dead Prez. A certain type of label might put out a Raucous, but a Black Star. But this is just the issue with music and business. You know what I mean? Like, folks need to get out. So I'm gonna take this deal.
Their objective is to sell records.
Yeah.
That's it. End of story.
Yeah, and it felt like people were getting behind this, where you could sell a million, of Lupe type songs. They're gonna get behind it because they just want to make their money. But
and Atlantic was probably
first, though.
And Atlantic was looking for a rap act, like a breakthrough superstar rap act. They have it now, right? 15 years later. But at this time, they were looking for it, and they tried to make it Lupe, and that wasn't him.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, still, Lupe gets his flowers, regardless from the, real recognized real, and I think he's good with that. So
I'm gonna give him half a flower, dog. I'm sorry. I
Look
bought
at
the
the
Cool and I bought Lasers, dog. I bought both of them. Both of them. I bought Lasers like,
Both
come on,
with the
Both.
F.
I thought Lasers. I like Lasers more than the Cool. Personally.
No, the Cool was popping.
The Cool is great. I like
Production on the Cool is terrible. It's
Joe versus Lupe in a sword fight. Who y'all got?
I
Lusagi.
don't know what Joel's working with over there.
I've been playing
No, he's
Ghost of Tsushima. It's a samurai video game. So my honor level is fucking high right now.
your XP is.
I played this game for hours. Go upstairs and talk to Shanae, my wife. Was like, "You disgust me with your distaste in my honor." Like, I'm Japanese. I'm moving there.
This is for those of y'all out there watching and listening. This is Joel's a changed man, because this was not the conversation we were having in 2006.
Not at all.
Oh, what, the conversation about banging horse? I'm down to have that conversation again. It's not gone. It's just
my point was, now you're concerned with honor. In 2006, you were.
Oh, right. So with that said, Joe, back then when you were banging whores, what was your favorite food and liquor combination? Ooh, that segue.
I like that, dude. First of all,
chicken and beer.
First of all, I want to apologize.
That's my last question. Fall back.
I apologize. A-Quil. First of all, I want to say I'm a whore. So when I say I'm banging whores, it's people who are complicit in my sexual misfits. I love you. I was a Aunt knows I was a cuddler. I was not a mean dude back then. I was very very passionate. Anyway, food and liquor combinations. For those of you who know me, for just no one, I used to live in Minnesota with A-Quil and Alibi. We used to drink a lot. I did.
You used to drink a lot.
Whatever. You don't drink a lot now?
Then I drink a ton.
Okay, then.
Hey,
when we would drink a lot,
PBR and Anastasia.
We would go to,
okay,
not by choice, but there were two spots. Pizza Luce, which is because it was close.
Fuck that place.
It sucks.
No.
Also, the wings were really good. And what was the breakfast spot we used to go
Sorry, the downtown one specifically that act like it was a nightclub. Fuck that place.
What's the
Uptown Diner?
Uptown Diner.
Lit.
Uptown Diner was popping, and there was a burrito spot. Burrito Loco, what's it called in Uptown? We used to go to all the time.
Nah, Burrito Loco. That was terrible.
Was that Uptown?
That was in Dinkytown.
No, there was no. It wasn't Burrito Loco. There was a burrito spot then in Uptown that we used to go to all the time.
Yeah.
And then outside of all that stuff I just said, fried chicken.
What are we drinking with it though?
Oh, what am I drinking? This is full Minnesota, dog. Shout out to Minnesota. I'm talking going to Brothers on a Thursday night.
Super Minnesota.
$5 all you can drink tap beer. Shake your head now, Survival. $5. $5.
All you can drink.
All you can drink tap beer.
That's
Shout out
college campus life.
Minnesota back in the 2000s.
Crazy.
Brothers. So A-Quil, that's me.
Okay.
They used to have 10-cent wings over there somewhere too.
That was Sally's.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember dollar drafts, but you weren't doing nothing but no $5 like for the rest of the evening.
Yo, shout out to Minnesota. Don't criticize Minnesota if you've never been there. Shit was fucking popping, dog. Fuck that, dude. It was fucking going down.
Well, yo, let us know. We got a couple folks in the comments. We saw Kenny up in here. Shout out Kenny and shout out Poop, of course. Let us know what y'all favorite liquor and food combinations are. My wife was in there. She said something wild earlier. I told her to put in the comments.
She probably said Bellinis and like shrimp and grits.
No. So here's a quick 8 in the meantime that I pulled off the internet, trying to sound a little more fancy. Just give me a yes or no if you would try this combination. Cognac and chilled seafood, so like shellfish, oysters, and shrimp. Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Yes.
If I would,
Yes.
I would, but
Whether if you would or if you have, either one.
Yes.
Yes or no.
Both.
All yes or no's. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Next one was bourbon and pickled veggies.
Yes.
Pickled veggies? I do it, but I haven't done it.
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. Okay. Next was rye and sushi.
Yes, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sushi's amazing.
Sake and sushi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next was scotch and duck breast with veggies.
Oh, fuck yes.
I knew you was gonna say yeah on the
Sounds fine
duck.
to me.
Fuck yes.
Duck is very, very underrated.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say yes to all of these because I like alcohol and I like food.
Yes.
Okay.
But carry on.
Yeah, I'm just gonna run through it, just so it's on the video for people to watch.
Yeah.
Next up was rum and glazed jerk chicken. That was my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
That's lit.
Yeah.
Run them.
That's
Man,
next was tequila and tacos.
You know, I'm gonna say no to half of that. I can't do tequila anymore.
I'll do it.
Rolling,
tacos
man. And shout out to Pook, who already said that in the chat. He said tacos and tequila.
Nice. And then we had brandy and chocolate brownies. Brandy and chocolate brownies.
Yeah, that shit sound fire.
Would y'all buy brandy? Like, I feel like it's the one
I bought
thing.
some. I put it in my eggnog.
Okay.
Yeah, you do brandy and
Yeah.
And then last was port. I guess that's wine. I'm not a wine person. So
Yeah, real strong wine.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Portuguese.
Okay, port and stinky cheese.
Yes. Oh, fuck yes.
No cheese for
Really?
I
me.
don't like cheese.
Yes.
I don't like cheese like that.
Yo, Robusto. Shout out to Whole
Survivor's
Foods.
lactose tolerant.
Shout out to
The
Whole
words of
Foods.
BC.
Whole Foods. Robusto cheese. That shit right there. And some red wine.
Yeah, man. Y'all eating charcuterie and shit.
Charcuterie, my dude.
Yeah. My wife does that. I don't fuck with that.
Sour Patch Kids and Mad Dog. Fam, what was you on
Yes.
back then?
Yes.
A-Quil's wife is wilding. She also said Cisco and Cocoa Krispies.
Y'all,
She's talking about vegetable oil?
Y'all be
I
thinking,
don't know, man.
yo, she was raised in California. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's some other shit. That sounds like some Bay Area shit. I'm down. I mean, if the
Yeah,
Bay
yeah.
Area co-sign it, I'm in, man.
That's that Diego, that Diego life. All right, man, that was it. And the last question, of course, this is back to the album though, because you said it earlier, Alibi. So you got to pick one. And I'm gonna look at the track list for a second. But off the top of your head, you going food and liquor, or you going chicken and beer? Ludicrous. Which album?
I like that.
Shit.
Mm.
Me, food and liquor.
Nice.
It's got Chicken and beer's got pee popping on it. It's got stand up. It's got
Food and
blow it
liquor.
out.
Food and liquor.
Splash waterfalls. It's got Diamond in the back. You know you fucking with Diamond.
I love all those songs, but if I had to get rid of one, I'm rolling Food and Liquor.
Nice.
Food and liquor.
Me too.
Smart.
Food and liquor.
Everybody, food and liquor.
I've been to Chicken and Beer, the bar. That was enough for me to know it's food and liquor all the time.
Pook said chicken and beer, man. I don't know if he's talking about the food or the album, but
Nah, I talk about the album. I'm not mad at him.
Okay.
I need some substance.
Kenny, where you at, Kenny? You doing chicken and beer or food and liquor?
See, that's because y'all brothers need to open your minds, my brothers. You talk about chicken and beer.
Here we go with the
food.
here we go with the
Here he
Hotep
goes.
hands again.
Here he goes with that. Yeah,
Got them
Hotep voice.
Hotep hands
My
again.
brother, that's what they want. For you to pick up that piece of chicken. When grease gets on your hands, you can't hold your thoughts, my brothers.
Hey, sister, can you do me a favor and tap that white girl for me?
Oh, it's time to wrap up. I don't want to
Put that chicken down, my brother.
It's time to go, ladies and gentlemen. We out of here, man. Thank y'all for joining us. A-Quil, Liner Notes crew. This is another live. We might be back again with the holidays and New Year's coming up, so we'll see what happens. But just make sure you check the podcast. That will still drop every Wednesday. Gang on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can download podcasts, anywhere except for SoundCloud. No hate to them, we send on there. You can also hit us on the socials. We are on YouTube, so just check our link tree. We got a link tree, y'all. So hit that link tree so you can see where our YouTube is. We're coming up on that. We're getting some love over there. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Liner Note 79. So hit us on those. And of course, we got an email. That is the Liner Notes crew at gmail.com. You can hit us on all those. We don't have like Cash App or Venmo yet, but I have one, so just hit mine. I'm looking for them, gifts and donations. It's the holiday season.
Donations.
Gifts. More gifts.
More gifts.
But yeah, Liner Notes crew, y'all have a great 2020. Or the rest of this 2020, if we don't see y'all prior. But once again, Alibi, Joe, Survival, I'm A-Quil. Thank y'all for joining us every week.
Yo, A-Quil, before we leave, I just want to let y'all know this is not me repping the Ravens. My boys from Baltimore made this shirt. I want to support him. Fuck the Ravens, but I love Baltimore. Baltimore's the shit. I love Baltimore and Baltimore peoples.
Yeah,
Word.
Me too.
Fuck
Baltimore
that team.
is the shit.
But I love y'all, Baltimore. Charm City in the house.
I hate that
Support
team.
Black on. We on it. Got that on. Got the
Happy
super
holidays
black.
and Happy New Year, everyone.
Holidays and New Year's, man. Peace.